the sexiest thing ever is always to focus on acquisition, right? More money front end.
You sign up a ton of clients, you're full on delivery.
If someone pays me in full 9.5K up front, I still have to serve this person for 4 months. And it hurts people's egos that they have months where their revenue or profit will spike 30-40% and then they'll drop down, but still have the same workload. So then they'll chase the same numbers again. And then now they just have more client work and then they get fucked.
Well, you don't do anything that creates more leverage for you. More delivery. And if I have more delivery and my time is the decisive factor to deliver, then, well, shit. At one point, I either can't take on more clients, which means cap on my revenue, or I exceed the revenue cap, but as a result, I have to sacrifice something else in my business, which often is the thing: product, the leverage, long-term moves. You cannot have strong ecosystem leverage if your product's shit.
Most people just overcomplicate it. It's just, what is a good product? A product is what delivers on whatever expectation that it is that you set. It took me 3 years of own experiences to learn everything that I...
All right. Welcome, beautiful people, to another episode of Serve, Don't Sell with myself, Vince, and my good friend and co-host, Fred Pahus. We're both, as you could say, hybrid solo consultants. We're both doing around 500K a year, and this podcast was set up with the intention simply to share what we love, what we know, in what I would like to say a rather polarizing space. So this is already episode 5, which is really awesome. Good to see you again, Fred. Feels like it's been a while, but it's actually just only been a week. The reason I'm saying this is because we technically missed last week. So for anyone who's here, I'm so sorry about that. But for good reason.
True. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. October started. It's actually my sister's birthday this month too, so I'm really excited about it.
Oh, nice.
Spending some more time with the fam too. But yeah, all is good on my end. I already texted you about this too, but I think a good topic for this call would probably be like product or serving a good product. I think this has been a very actual topic in both your community, which I'm part of as your mentee, but also in mine, where a big part of the focus has been kind of like, as infopreneurs, we tend to focus a lot, coaches, consultants, but also info operators, we focus a lot on the heavy upfront acquisition. And one of the things I've also been like nagging you about is, bro, acquisition needs to go up. But, you know, everyone always focuses on acquisition being the big problem in your business. But what we forget is that oftentimes the biggest bottleneck with acquisition can actually be delivery.
Yep, it is.
The hedonic treadmill.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the sexiest thing ever is always to focus on acquisition, right? More money front end, and you get the point. And that's also the most popular offers there are, right? I'll get you X amount of leads, X amount of calls, X amount of sales. But people just tend to forget that the most important part of any business is product, all right? And it's the coolest part about consulting, but it's also the worst part, is the fact that you typically get paid a decent amount of money up front for a set amount of months of work. So like, let's say that I like my mentorship has been 9.5K for the past year or so, for 4 months, right? Which means if someone pays me in full 9.5K up front, I still have to serve this person for 4 months, which would in an agency done for you world just be a retainer of 2.4K every month. Mm-hmm. But people forget that, you know, and it hurts people's egos that they have months where their revenue or profit will spike 30-40% and then they'll drop down, but still have the same workload. So then they'll chase the same numbers again, and then now they just have more client work and then they get fucked.
Yeah, and I think a really good point to add to that is like, and I came off this big sprint recently myself, if I can say recently being in the past like 3-4 months. It's where you have those months where you go hard, focus on acquisition, which is the season for it. By the way, it's also part of the business. But one of the biggest mistakes that I wouldn't say it's a mistake I necessarily made. I think together with your help, but also constant reflection on it, I've been able to pivot from it rather fast. But I think this is one we really got to emphasize today, because you said this to me, a lot of businesses have quantum leaps. Moments of big growth, and then suddenly it kind of slows down. And it's easy to fall under the illusion that when things slow down, they're not going well. Yeah. When I now need to, as you just said, you sign up a ton of clients, you're full on delivery, you got 4 months where you're like, hell yeah, I'm juiced up, make crazy money, and then, well, you don't do anything that creates more leverage for you. And then the 4 months pass, and then you're like, time to repeat the cycle. But because you also didn't do anything crazy in terms of leverage, maybe you probably even sacrifice content or anything in terms of leverage, maybe even getting better ads up, some kind of quality move to get you better leads, well, then you're back at point 0. And this happens all the time.
Yep. And it's typically, I think, because it happens to people, is that lifestyle inflation. So they'll have a really good
Good
month,
topic.
right, where they do large numbers. Again, same example, they get paid up front for X amount of months of work. And then they spend the money on some shit. Like they have a few good months, and then they get a crazy apartment or a car, financing, like expensive dinners, whatsoever. And now they're like, oh my God, I need to make at least 15, 20 grand a month to just sustain my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then it's very, very hard for you to actually focus on product, because product will typically the easiest way of delivering results to clients is by spending time with them, right? Either done for you do it for them, or spend time with them on calls or in text, making sure that they run it up. Unless you have a really good program. But yeah.
That's also the bottleneck, at least when you're running solo/small team. And I do want to add to this, because this is what my world has been opened up to a lot. I think you have already been on that journey a little bit earlier than I. But it's this common notion that, okay, let's get a bigger team, or we talk about this a lot in Surf, so let's get a bigger team, complex team. But as I'm starting to expand my scope of what really is happening in the consulting space, there are people, typically they're a bit older because they've been in this market for longer, who are running millions a month, team of 4, chilling. No one really knows about them because they're not polarizing with these sexy angles of get money fast, but they're doing it really well. And the reason I'm starting or leading by that in the sentence that I'm sharing here is the idea that you can scale in a way whereby you allow yourself, at least if you want a simple business. I mean, look, for you and I know you very well too. The priority here isn't let's get a Lambo and speed down in Dubai. The priority is, hey, let's spend time with our family. I know you with Bertha. Shout out Bertha. Oh yeah, we got to shout out Bertha. We haven't shouted out Bertha on the call yet.
The dog.
Here, please put a photo of Bertha here. We have to shout out Bertha. Spending time with your family as well, with your partner. These are important things. Or just taking time to write. And the only way you can do that is if you allow yourself to build a business that you can enjoy. For me, it's the same. Spending time with my sister on a Saturday, having dinner because we can. Or sometimes playing a video game because it's fun, and not making myself feel like an absolute loser doing it, which is completely counterintuitive to the whole point of building a business, right? And to do that, you do need to build a business, or in this case, a vehicle that allows you to do it, which inevitably, if you look at it from a perspective, okay, how do I do that? Okay, I can acquire more clients, but like Fred said, if I acquire more clients, guess what's going to happen? More delivery. And if I have more delivery and my time is the decisive factor to deliver, then, well, shit. At one point, I either can't take on more clients, which means cap on my revenue, or I sacrifice, or let's reframe it. I exceed the revenue cap, but as a result, I have to sacrifice something else in my business, which often is the thing, product, the leverage, long-term moves, just for that short-term gain. And finding that balance is something I've been navigating recently. I think I already have a pretty clear answer on it, but it's always a really good topic to touch on too.
Yeah, 100%. And it's extremely relevant to be able to make those decisions, because I think the worst and the best part of being a solo consultant and have no team and a business that depends heavily on you is that you become very, very cautious of your hours. And I've just realized that I'm at a point now where, I could sell 9.5K for 4 months, and that would basically give me an hourly rate of serving this person for the next 4 months, let's say, of maybe like $700 if I calculate Slack, group calls, one-on-one, everything. But I genuinely do believe that my hourly rate is, for example, better spent on product, YouTube, and content.
Makes sense.
Right? So I kind of have to take a hit confidence-wise on my revenue and profit when I look at my sheet and personal payouts, because I know that I want to build a program and a product and a brand that can sustain, let's say, 200, 300, 400K a month without me having to do the same shit that I did in my last business, which is just hiring and volume.
Yeah.
And I think it's very hard for people to make those decisions, right? Because I can do it because I spend a very little amount of money every month. I live very simplistic. I don't need to flex. I don't need to do all these things because I have a good life and I don't need to show for it. And for the past 2 years, I've saved the majority of the money that I've made, and now I'm in a pretty good spot. But most people aren't, right? Like it's very easy to make money. It's very hard to keep it. So most people will keep chasing it. And it was interesting what you said with like these unknown people almost running these 4 or 5 people operations doing millions a month.
Bro, and then you watch their stuff and you're like, huh? What?
Yeah, they're amazing.
Fuck? This is the polar opposite of everything I've been seeing.
Yeah, and that's funny, right? It's like
you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. It's like whatever you consume and the space that you're in, you kind of like you kept being fed the same thing over and over again. So it's like, of course, when you watch the people that we watch, you will get fed more of it, and it's typically a lot of guru shit. Which is, and then you find these hidden gems, and you're like, damn. But I also think that it's important for people to know that, like, the majority of the people that are doing, for example, what me and Vince are doing, solo consultants, are people who had the big team, the high volume, the high proof, and then transitioned.
And can transition. And well said, because it's
right.
important you see the phases. Like, if I also look back in my journey from 0 to 10K, and you remember you were part of that all, it was me just going, bro, dark days, fucking hoodie on, music on.
But you're an outlier, bro. You're an outlier.
Yeah,
like
I know that.
You shouldn't be able to speak on this topic because, like, you've done what like 1 in a million does, which is like completely solo. Didn't force a lot of ad spend, didn't force a lot of employees, and then you still hit the numbers that you're doing now, which is very impressive. But if you look at all the people who are taking a step back, right? We had William Brown, right, building a huge ass how to trade educational company, selling it, and then with that proof of concept, that case, that amount of volume, moving into solo consulting, right? Yep. Jeremy Pogue did the same. He was doing 200K a month with a big team, had a high volume, built his YouTube channel with the high volume, built a lot of Instagram followers, a lot of proof with the high volume. Yep. And then once you have the high volume, it's easy to transition back, right? I was the same. I had ran a lot of ads for Short Form Society, my previous business. I had a lot of cases. I had a lot of proof building that business. So for me, it was easy to then transition back into more lean because you had the volume, right?
Yep. I think I do want to add to that with more of the perspective, not so much of, oh, look at me doing it real quick, but more the perspective of there were phases of, and I think that's really what I also want to touch on, at least from my perspective. If there's one thing that I think I've been able to do quite well, it's phase transition. It came with a lot of resistance from me, but kind of like going from that early 0 to 10K grind to then taking that and as soon as possible creating assets out of it, leverage transfer into longer term moves. Then when I started running ads or when I started showing up, I could then kind of, it was a constant game of momentum, if I would frame it. And I think that what happens to a lot of people too is they fuck up their own momentum as a result of, as you said it, ego, lifestyle transitions, comparison is a big part as well, where you compare to others in a market and you're like, fuck, I'm not doing good enough. You start trying to do what they do and it ends up being counterintuitive. And I think it really relies on, I would say it as the early stage of the journey, 0 to 10 is kind of like a brute force as you frame it. I don't like using that frame anymore in retrospect because it only adds to the self beating up phase of it, but it's a matter of...
But you need to go through it.
Yeah, it's like, volume, as Alex says. It's volume. Then transitioning from volume to making volume work for you. This is like content. And then eventually transitioning from having initial cases to stacking as much proof as you can. Oh, by the way, I got to share this out loud. We've just crossed 500K in collective wins. We're at 530 now. It's been like 7 months.
Good shit.
Fuck yeah.
Awesome.
Transitioning then from as much proof to creating the strongest product. Because typically in that middle phase between, for you guys who are watching or who are there around maybe 10, 15, 20K a month and you're like, shit, I want to hit 50, you can brute force it. And I would say you can do the high volume approach, which I did in July. But looking at it, one thing, if I could have planned for this sooner, it would be transferring the knowledge that I've gained into a better product. And yes, by now I've probably done 500 calls in that period. However, I could have already done this by 200-300 calls, I realized, and already begin building the product. And that's really what I want to emphasize.
Yeah, and I think it's just about people recognizing what kind of business that they want to build.
Awareness, yeah.
If you want to hire, you should definitely hire, right? If you want to build a big team, you should definitely build that. So it's just about picking your battles. And I also think that I will also end up hiring people because at the end of the day, it will be required. And it's also a false belief that I'm the only person in the world that can serve my clients to get them results. Because at the end of the day, and I think that also leads into what we're talking about, product and back end kind of, is that the most important thing when you onboard clients is just that you get them results. And if I keep telling people that the only way that they'll get results is by spending time with me, then that is what they will believe to be true. But if I had the world's best program and like incredible implementation or ways of doing things and saving my clients time that I could tell them go through this thing and follow the steps outlined, they would do that and see the same results.
Yeah.
So it's just, it is, I think it's a very false belief, at least from my end, in terms of I need to spend the time with the clients to get them results. But I also think that it's an important reflection to have because it's always pros and cons, right? If I remove myself from deliverability, I can serve more people, which typically gives a higher volume front end. But I'm not 100% sure because I haven't tested it. But I am pretty sure that my lifetime value will drop, because it's like mentorship and working one-on-one with people. There's a lot of hidden things that you don't see in terms of the relationship, how you get to know each other. I know your editor, for example. Like I know my clients' clients. And there's just a lot of things there that makes people renew as well. So I think once you take yourself out, so to say, of the one-on-one, of the personal connection, then product and delivery and the program itself, or whatever it is that you do, becomes a lot more important than you, right? Because you just removed you in the equation, kind of.
I think this is an interesting question to ask you, because I have a different look on that, but it's my thesis being, what if you leverage proximity to such an extent that LTV doesn't actually go down? Or actually, let me reframe it. Average LTV, if you look at it from the fact that you're now introducing a lower ticket offer. So if you consider you had maybe let's do a math sum here, 100 clients who paid you 50K per client, then your LTV would be 50K, right? But now if you have 1,000 client who only the 100 pay you 50K and the rest 90 pay you 5,000, the average LTV goes down. But my thesis here is that the actual LTV for the clients who pay you a lot more goes up. Does that make sense? Am I doing girl math here?
No, I think like
I don't know if I depicted it correctly.
No, you're calculating it the right way, but you're kind of like you're adding a thing which is not allowed here when we speak lifetime value, is volume, right? What if I just sell more of another product, or what if I just put more people into the system? So I think, like your business would make more money, right? There's a reason to why I'm building my program. There's a reason to why I'm doing all of these things for leverage, is because I know that it will make me more money. Like every day that I wake up and I don't have a course or a program, I'm losing time and money. Like I have people DMing me, hey, can I buy a program? And I'm just like, nope, because there is no program. Yep. So I know that it's a problem, right? So you just have to be aware, accept that. And again, that's perfectly fine, right? It depends on what the goal of the business is. So I think it's just about being prepared about mentally dropping your lifetime value, but your business overall makes more money. So that's probably worth it, right?
And I think also, if you think about it, like one of the core things that I still want to keep part of my business is the one-on-one mentorship, because I enjoy the shit out of it. But I'm, for example, realizing this week I had 2 days of no calls, which was actually 2 days of the first 5 hours no calls, and then I had a few at the end, and that was beautiful. Oh man, it felt like I was on a paradise. But the reason why is because I could use my mind now to work on these longer term projects, or just think and let it do its thing. And that's a really cool asset. So having that still is a great value asset. It creates a perceived value. There we go. I was losing my English word for a second here. It creates a lot of perceived value, but at the same time, if you lean on it too much, it caps you, which comes down to the question of what kind of business do you want to run? Because I'm sure there are people who really, really enjoy purely just using their time the way, in this case, just trading it for money, like literally flat hour or money per hour, which is perfectly fine. I'm realizing for me, it's always a game of, hey, how can I keep improving? You know how I play video games, dude.
Yeah, of course. It makes sense.
And it's like, what's the next limit I can reach? But to add to that, I actually want to. I think we can touch on this. We always end up talking long term in one way or another, which kind of matches our personalities also in business. Yeah. But I've started introducing a new concept. It's not necessarily a new concept, but I was thinking about this, right? Because as I'm finishing the series I told you about, which is going to be live sometime a few weeks from now, guys. The whole point is, how do I turn what I've created and ran as a thesis into now a more tangible asset? The sixth point of it, the series, the sixth episode, is all about leverage. And I was thinking there's only really two core things that create leverage. It's time, which is involvement, which is more back end and your involvement as a person. And the second leverage point is actually trust, which is from the outside, how do people perceive you? So what I've kind of come to the idea of, if you were to split those two factors, they're leverage factors, sorry. If you were to take those leverage factors, and if I were to think, okay, if I were to redo everything I did, and if I'm now pacing up to the goal of hitting 200K a month, what leverage do I have to start, I guess you could say, leveraging? Haha, that's funny. Anyways, I started off coming with the sum of, the first of all, it's service leverage. This is what we're talking about here. And service leverage means two things: less time serving for the same impact, or what it means, having a product that's so good that, typically speaking, people automatically get wins in a certain way. That's the first leverage point, meaning you're spending less time serving, and as a result, that time is now used to creating a better product. The second leverage point would be offer leverage, as I call it. The whole idea that I have here is that banking off service leverage, you turn that into different offers. So now you can increase your value that you can bring to the market, which is kind of in line with what you said. LTV might go down on average, but as a result, now you're no longer capped by time to serve people. And both of them also create trust, because the better your service, the more trust you'll get from the inside and outside in your ecosystem. The more offers you have that truly hit certain pain points, the more trust you'll gain. The third would be ecosystem leverage, which is the idea that after you've served so much and you know exactly what the pain points and problems are of your audience, you know how you've served your clients, you can turn that into assets so that up front, the trust you create with your audience who has never worked with you, never engaged with any of your products, becomes way higher. Meaning the fourth point we can then leverage is acquisition leverage. Selling will be near inevitable, which is where you can go from having to create trust and leverage on a sales call to now being able to even DM close, which I've been doing lately, or potentially have other ways, landing pages, etc., etc. My whole idea has been, okay, how can I reverse engineer both my journey, but also if I look at other people in the space, could be a William Brown, could be any other creator that is high level in the info space. And what I found is that I think it's really a mix of these. I could probably go way deeper into it or split it up even more, but I think it's also a sequential game. You cannot have strong ecosystem leverage if your product's shit. There's just no way. You'll have an impression up front, but then when people join your product, it'll be a complete fire hose, and then shit, there goes your ecosystem. You lose confidence. You can't have acquisition leverage if you don't have ecosystem leverage, meaning you can't easily sell someone just off of a DM if you haven't built a lot of trust with them. But trust isn't just a matter of a strong impression through your personality or your philosophy. It's also seeing the proof and the wins. And that kind of determines, or is determined per client or per prospect. So this is the concept I'm working on, and this only happens when you have time, people.
True. Yeah, I think most people just overcomplicate it. It's just, what is a good product? A product is what
exactly
delivers on whatever expectation that it is that you set. And the easiest thing to deliver on is one-on-one coaching, is if that is what you've offered, right? Proximity. But it becomes a different game when you have to deliver a set outcome without your involvement, because that requires strong assets in place. So it's just, fulfill on your communication. That day you have a good product, you know?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, and it starts with clients, like fix your client shit and then turn it into product. And then, because also a program is also a collection of many different products in one thing, which I like how people run workshops. I like how people use low ticket, because then it becomes more like, hey, you suck at ads. I've spent $700K of my own money on ads. So you can buy my ads module on how you can turn $1 into $5.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's true. I like it. It's cool. It does.
Yeah, and for me, it's always been kind of like reverse engineering it, because I always it's fun, right? Have you ever heard of? Do you know Myron Golden by any chance?
Nope.
He's a pretty rich ass black dude. That's a fun way to introduce him. But I think he's like 70, 75. That dude has a majestic beard. He's always in a really cool suit. But I think he runs a sales consulting company doing upwards of 70 or to even 130 mil a year. And I watched one of his lectures 4 years ago, before I even got started with you and everything. And the lecture was about knowledge. It was about the idea that the way knowledge works is, it's kind of like, imagine this little thing. Like, at first you have your inherent knowledge and you have your knowledge receptors. Receptors are what allows you to learn the next thing. As you grow and you learn more, the knowledge you gain becomes larger. This is my AirPod case, but you get the point. And then the receptors become larger. So suddenly you have more surface area to learn more. And then as you grow, it seems like there's so much more to the story. And it always feels like you're learning. And I think this is an important thing to share here as well, because we talk about this a lot. You can only act on the knowledge you have, but you can also only act on the knowledge you have that is relevant to the experience that matches it. This is the reason why I find, both in my own journey with you, with Nero, with people I work with, like my mentees here, it's like, you have to come to the conclusion yourself. You have to. Even if someone else gives you the entire framework, you have to come to the conclusion yourself. And what I've been trying to do throughout this whole journey has been really trying to, in words, quantify the mess of what's happening, putting it into frameworks, structures, philosophies. But at the end of the day, it's true. Keep it simple. Keep it as core to what it is. Because at the end of the day, what really ends up winning is a good product. And unfortunately, and it's also fortunately, for us and a lot of other people out there, a good product takes time to build.
It does.
Effort. It's not sexy. It's not the quick, woo, another close, there goes my cash. It's sitting down and just putting your mind to work, which is typically seen as the unfun part. You're not traveling when you're doing that. You're not in a cool luxury villa when you're doing that. You could, by the way, but I mean, not for me at least. I'm just putting the hours in.
Yeah, it is. And it's simplifying all of the shit that you've experienced and know, and then turning it into like a tangible roadmap for your clients to go through so that they can avoid everything that you had to go through, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for people to build a 14 members team and spend 60K a month on ads to realize that, I could maybe just go high profit and build a good ecosystem and then sell high ticket and then work with few but good clients. Like there's no need for people to go through that route because I went through it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, I think the best product is just the product that delivers set result and then fast.
Yeah, I promise.
Yeah, I think speed is pretty important. I think what I've realized from working with people that already make some money, like 10, 20, 30, all the way up to like 100K a month, they prioritize speed a lot.
Yeah. And the irony with speed is always that there's underlying reasons why speed is blocked. And if you can find that ASAP or find a way to locate it, pinpoint it, and overcome that blockage or bottleneck, then speed can continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's also speed that gives the initial trust in the long-term things. It's very hard for a person that doesn't maybe fully trust you yet. They've maybe purchased, but they're like, I spent a lot of money on this guy. Is he even worth it? Does this make sense? Then speed is very good to like break their beliefs in terms of what is possible, help them create an additional offer or tweak their stories or train their setter better or track their numbers or increase spend or start retargeting ads or whatever it is, right? That gives them that initial cash injection of like, okay, this works. I should probably listen to whatever this guy is saying. And then you can start build long-term stuff with people because they're like, okay, now I see the point. I understand it now. And also because it's financially made sense for them because they've made back their investment maybe double or triple in the first initial months.
Yeah, which then gives more confidence and allows them to follow up on everything else that you have available as a resource more. I'm curious, what's your take on speed then, and what's your best approach to getting people to move at speed? I think I'm a great example of a motherfucker who just runs it up.
Yeah, it's very hard
What's your take on it?
I also work with quite a few people who don't really have an incentive to go fast because they make good amount of money. So it's about catering it to the right reasons for the right person. Yep. Because the majority of my clients that I work with, I maybe not even increase their revenue, but I fix their profit and I fix their time. It's not a client win that you can post in terms of like X amount of cash collected. But like I have clients that makes maybe 20% more bottom line and they work way like 70% less. Yeah. And not say that they're on the couch, but they are maybe removed from calls.
No, but the point is that they don't have to go into the grind of it and other times better spent.
Yeah. So you need to find people's like immediate pain for them to take action and move forward. Typically it's them paying you a lot of money because they're like, okay, I should probably make this back. But if it isn't money, then it's probably time. It's like finding something deeper. I always make people make sure to fill out like an onboarding doc where they set short-term goals and long-term goals. Yep. So it's never me against them. It's just me against whatever is on that onboarding sheet. I'm like, I couldn't fucking care less if you fulfill whatever goals it is that you have. You've already paid me, but you promised yourself this, and I have 72% renewal rate, so don't fuck this up. Because I'm here to work with you for the long time, because I know that I can help you, because I only bring on people that I'm really certain that I can get to whatever point it is that they want to, either because I've done it myself or done it for clients, you know? Yeah. So I think, speed is it's just important that you can have some urgency and speed that fixes people, because people always have one initial bottleneck, then you fix it, then they have a new one.
And it's also interesting go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's just balancing when to fix short-term things and when to fix long-term things, because it's kind of funny how they're tied together, right? Because let's say that you have a problem with close rate. Then the initial fixes to fixing a close rate is finding a new closer or more sales training or strengthening the offer. That's what 90% of would tell you. And I would say, that's some good reasons and they will probably do. But your marketing probably sucks ass since people shows up and they don't understand what you're doing, who you're selling to and who you are. Yeah. So you should probably start making some really fucking good ass YouTube videos and some explainer videos, a method video, case study video, common conception. Yeah, exactly. So then that will fix your sales problem in 4 to 6 months from now.
But that's not what you want to know.
But I tell people, hey, if you want the short-term solution, you can fuck off, you know? Yeah. Because like if you want to make what you and I are making every month in personal profit from not fucking hating our business and working with shitty clients, it also comes with doing a lot of these things that nobody is willing to do.
Yeah. And I think this is also an important thing to touch on, right? Because if there's one thing, I think you said it well, and I don't know, it's not a word questioning here, and I don't want to come across as a douchebag saying this, but I am indeed a anomaly. I use that word a lot. I think it's a cool word. I just like making my life like a movie, guys. Please bear with me. But the fact that let him have his fun. Steven Spielberg in the scene here going, the anomaly. That would be so sick, by the way. Anyways,
would be good. Cut it in.
That would be cool. That would be cool. And just see like fucking explosions behind me. Sorry, I'm going off again. No, but like I was always thinking about like what is the decisive factor between seeing fast growth in the market and, well, how do I say it? Still playing the game as it is. And there's a lot of factors that go into it. Big part of it would be luck. Now, I also have the argumentation that luck is the being prepared and finding opportunities at the right time, which they will come at all times if you really look at it. But that's besides the point. One thing that I see a lot is people comparing one another to the market. And I also fell to this trap. I fell to this trap after I had my peak month. I'm like, shit, okay, now I got to approach it like this and this and this. And the real irony is that the thing that actually made it all work was not even at all comparing, but playing to my strengths. And this is where it gets interesting. When you think about something like content, or when you think about something like a product, working on your product has no direct return. Working on your content doesn't have an immediate return either, technically. Right? And the irony of it is your content and your product are nothing other than you. At least if you're a solo consultant, you can go hire a CSM, but that defeats the purpose of it, right? If you really want to build it well. And if you're going to build a product, if I'm going to build the exact product the way Mr. Frederick Bahus did, I'm already losing the game. And it's not because I can't build a product that's good, but because I'm not playing my game.
Yep.
Same thing if I'm going to compare myself to who knows who or whatever the heck in the market saying I gotta post these content pieces, and you always catch me out on my bullshit when I say this shit to you. You're like, oh, Vince, you want to do that? Go post that content. I'm like, but I don't want to do that. Yeah, well, no fucking shit, Vince. No shit, bro. You want to be them? And it's so interesting, right? Because everyone looks at their numbers and goes, I want to hit 100K a month. I want to hit 150. And then you're like, okay, so go do that way. Go live like that. And you're like, well, I don't want that. Okay, so what the fuck do you want then? Who do you want to be? We say this a lot. You say this a lot more in particular. It's all about what kind of business you want to run. And if there's one thing
everything works.
Yeah.
But everything also has a consequence, right?
But it's so ass when you say that, because if everything worked, then why do I have to do that? It's like, it's so stupid. And the more I get into it, it's kind of like that sponge effect, right? That's the one. That's the sponge effect. Now that I've gotten further into the space, I get to see it more. And hopefully me sharing this perspective and Fred also sharing his gives you guys the opportunity to recognize this. I don't think the point of me ever building my business the way is saying you need to do it like me because my way is the best, because it's pointless. If I get someone on my offer who expects someone else's results or that type of business through working with me, it's already a fucking loss. It doesn't make any sense because I'm going to tell you the counterintuitive part of it and you're going to be like, but I want to make the money, right?
Yeah.
Point that I'm trying to communicate is really give it a thought, and you can only do it if you really like what type of business do you want to run. One thing you guys will see with Fred and I is we share similar values where family is a really important part of our lives. Being able to spend time with ourselves in the sense of to write as Fred loves to do it. By the way, dude, your view is awesome, man. Like you just sitting around is it on your couch where you write, or do you have a table where you write looking outside?
I have a chair upstairs and then it's just water.
So nice, man.
It's nice.
Do you hear the water too?
If I open the door next to me, but it's a little bit cold here in Denmark.
Cold, yeah, it's cold now. No, but dude, I can just imagine you might as well just put some kind of a audio on your phone while you're writing. I don't know if you ever do that.
Yeah, true.
It's just
I'll try that.
A water sound, but like being able, like it's funny, right? Like, this goes back to product. Aside, I'll get back to the point of building a business you want, but this goes back to product. How do you build the best product? Like, just think about it. You have to be in your best state. You have to be, this goes back to metaphysics, but you literally have to be in the best state of mind. You have to be the most clear in your mind when you're getting these connections. I know you spent months on your, what is it called again? The digital coffee shop concept. Is that the way I can call your concept? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
you spent months on that concept. This wasn't presented the way it was before. And then you had all these other people also copy it. I remember we talked about that too. And guess what? It didn't work the way for them as it did for you. Because it didn't come from them the way it came from you, in the perspective of your mind, how it came together, the conclusions you drew, your philosophy. Just as now I'm spending hours on end on it. But the irony of it is, if that's the way you spend your time, and it truly comes to conclusions that are relevant, other people will hear it, will listen to it and go, that's it. It's kind of funny, right? Working with Neuro, one thing I've learned is the idea of source. The idea that you are, quote unquote, the source. The idea that you are, now we're going to go into a bit of metaphysics here, but your closest connection with framework here, God, if you allow that connection to be. The whole point is people are looking for the source of their problems to solve it. And if you're able to present it in your content, in your offer that way, then they'll find the source through you. The thing is, if you're trying to be someone else, you just fucked off every power you have. Literally, you just gave it away.
Yeah, then you're just like everyone else, right?
And then everyone else is
I'll
now
give you 30
source.
appointments in 60 days or you don't pay.
Or I will give you your money back and pay your luxury villa to Bali with 10 strippers, and you'll be off for good. Or I'll work for free until the end of the day, and you'll have 20,000 clients. You're no longer you anymore.
Yep. But I'm happy that those offers exist because it puts everything that you and I are doing in such a big contrast, you know.
Into perspective, yes.
Because I would die if I would have to work with some of these clients that you can see these people are working with. I would fucking jump off a balcony.
Well, at least it's only a floor high, so you're not going to get too hurt.
That's very true. That's very true. I should get my money up.
Unhinged Chad. Jesus Christ. No, but it's true.
It is just that everything works. And I think the second that I accepted that everything works but comes with a price, my life was a whole lot better. You know, because I can open up any competitor of mine or person that I take inspiration from or person that is doing the same thing as me. And I can see everything that they're doing. And I just have to ask myself, am I willing to pay the same price that they're paying in order to be wherever they are? And in some cases, I say yes to it in some aspects of their business, but in majority, I say no. Yeah, because it's like it's such a vanity metric that people are saying revenue, because they will never tell you about payment plan collection rate, like how big of a percentage does actually pay their installments with you. Mine is 100%, right? What is yours? Profit. How much is profit to you personally? Not fucking after ads, but like after everything. Yeah. And I think there's nothing wrong with profit, but for me, I cannot sell this business. It's built upon me and my face. So for me, it's cash flow, and I need high profit because for me is a healthy info business. I had to learn that the hard way.
That's in a way, look, I don't want to say security is only money, but that is a big part of having physical security for your family, for people you love. Like if you can earn what like let's say your monthly cost would be, let's assume here 5K and you earn 30K in profit a month. That's 6 months away for you. You got 6 months of life. That's it. If you do that for 4 months and you stall the watch you're buying or the fucking whatever business trip. Bro, I saw a post the other day of someone earning 16K getting business trip. And I was like, a business flight. Fuck? And bro, listen, I was like, I wouldn't even do that at 100K. It's not because I'm a cheap motherfucker. I just don't see sense in an expense like that. Unless it really makes sense for any reason or I want to experience it. And that's fair.
Yeah, I bought it last time. Fuck it.
I don't want to call you out, but I was thinking, wait, that's a bad example because you did it. No, like it's contextual. You're not buying it to cater to your ego. You haven't done it before and it's pretty fun. And bro, you're making sick cash. You're good. You're not at 16K.
It's all good.
Bro's retired. Bro could fuck off to a private island for the next 4 years and he'd come back with a new idea. Shout out Center Stage, disappearing, coming back. Bro. Don't know you personally, but you're pretty cool. Anyways, back to it. The point is you can do it because the reason for it makes sense. But if you're doing it, and you could argue, yes, if you're at 16K, then you want to experience that reality. That's fine. But more the idea of just spending it that way when next month you have to pay bills, uncertainty in business exists, you want to make sure you have a cash flow reserve. I think there's better decisions to be made. And that also comes down to the trade-off, right? What is important to you? And it goes back to the question, what business do you want to run?
Yeah, and I think there is just, I do believe that lifestyle marketing will give you a higher ROI short term, but I don't see a lot of longevity to it. Facts. So this means that a lot of the people that are drawn to the materialistic things will go through the same stuff that I went through, which is realizing that wasn't what made my life purposeful and provided me with joy and happiness. Mm-hmm. And then all of these people buying these other programs and mentors and philosophies of doing business and life will realize that it isn't for them, and then they'll come to me or you.
Yep.
So I think the way that and I'm just happy that there's so many people exposing these potential clients of mine.
Practices.
I'm happy that they get exposed to that side of info, that side of consulting, that way of living and whatever. And then they'll come back to me when they realize that, okay, this was probably not the right way of doing it. Now I want to do it properly. Yep. So I want to focus on me instead of my guarantee. Yep. I want to focus on ecosystems instead of hard selling funnels. I want to focus on client results, few clients, better clients, instead of a guarantee. You know, it's like there are so many ways that you can do it, and it comes back to ideas, right? Which you said with like digital coffee. If I'm constantly in calls and constantly stressing and constantly
working,
in a state
grinding,
of fucking, if I'm constantly in that
making more
state,
cash,
I get no ideas. You know.
Yeah.
But like probably digital coffee, that idea alone has maybe in the last half a year made me 250K in personal profits.
And it was one idea that you got.
It was one idea,
took the time.
you know. So I'm fine with waiting 3 or 4 months for me to get a good idea, or something that I want to pursue, or something that I want to test, or something that I can conceptualize to me.
And
the
everyone
only way that I
internet-
do that is by spending time with my fucking thoughts, you know, because that's the only thing that's unique to me. It's
Not
whatever
the
I'm
mind,
thinking,
not the
and how
demons.
how I'm boiling it down.
Yeah. Like it's like, and hearing that like from the outside, it's like, you don't want to make fast money.
Yeah, it's like, but
It's
these
so
people,
cunt.
people are not willing, for example, to spend a year on building a product that will be the backbone of their business for the next 5 years.
For the next 5, yeah.
You know, it's not been the most scalable year that I've gone through with like heavy one-on-one and heavy data and heavy on client results.
But now you have all of that. And
now I have
leverage.
everything that I wanted from this year. So now I can lock myself in a room and spend the next quarter or so on building the product, and then I can open it up and the product is live, and then I can spend all my time on content and driving traffic and getting more people in, and then it's a self-fulfilling loop. I've seen
and
it
then
happen too many
eventually you'll
times.
see a new product, you'll see a new opportunity to serve even with more leverage, and then you you then take another period of growth.
Then I get smarter, you
reshifting.
know, as you mentioned with the AirPods case. But like you get more knowledge, you get smarter, and then you open up for a new way of doing things, and then you do so.
And I think if I can even add a hot take to this, here we go, guys. Yeah, motherfuckers got to start learning more. Like, please, never stop learning. It's also this idea of comfort where you suddenly start stacking cash and like, hell yeah, you call it lifestyle inflation, and then you, instead of focusing on the one thing that got you to this point that it will keep getting you going, which is the hunger to learn, to develop and grow. And again, hunger to learn, develop and grow doesn't necessarily have to be a negative pursuit of constant grinding. It just simply means opening up your mind to learning, which can only happen when you have space. That can only happen, again, if you focus on it. If now your focus suddenly becomes more, the hedonic treadmill as we talked about. I also experienced this for a short period as well. It's like more and growth, and you're back to the same loop of fuck. The actual thing that got me to grow, which is the focus I had, I've now displaced. And now I don't have it anymore. And until you can come to that conclusion and focus on it again, you'll keep going in these cycles again and again and again. And leverage will never be created, meaning you'll be stuck at one place. And even worse, and I don't want to give this scarcity perspective here, but it is a relevant one. While you're spending all your time fucking around, someone else is spending their time grinding isn't a word here, but actually building up leverage. And suddenly they now emerge in the market and pop off.
It is.
I think leverage shifting is the number one biggest factor. I call it leverage shifting, whatever. But I think it's one of the number one most important parts as you scale, because it just isn't short term anymore. I had to make my own peace with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just realize that this shit is like sports, you know, like the best athletes win. And the edge in consulting is, for example, the things that you know, right? Your knowledge and also then putting it into work. But it's just, you just have to come to terms that it's highly, highly competitive, and you can't expect a set outcome without doing the right amount of input and being the person that actually deserves it. So you just probably need to work a little bit more on yourself and your knowledge and your way of articulating things, or copywriting, or fucking client cases, or whatever, you know.
You know what's funny about this, by the way, on the topic of this, with content, right? You know how many people I hear saying like, yeah, how did they get their content to be so good? I need to get a better AI prompt. And I'm like, motherfuckers.
I just got to test this thumbnail, then it will save my YouTube channel.
And it's like, if you just sat that same amount of time wondering all this shit and actually put in your thought and wondering what's the best ad strategy or what's the best AI content creator, and just sat down and actually wrote from yourself, which is uncomfortable because now you have to think. No shade. But now you have to think. You'd come up to really good ideas. And in a month where I was grinding, hitting my top, then I had no time to think. It's funny, right? It's like a constant trade-off. And those are necessary to get to the next level so you now can leverage shift.
Yep.
But please just take the time. There's two statements here. or two, not statement, but two quotes. And the second one's fucking fire, bro. The first, obviously, is comparison is the thief of all joy. I think that's how you frame it. That's the one, which is the moment you compare yourself to others, you're already losing. But at the same time, it's important to consider, and you told me this, or I think you mentioned this once, how can you expect the results when you haven't put in fucking a tenth of the effort that you're comparing yourself to of people who have hit those results? So comparison is a thief of joy. Of course, don't compare yourself all the time. And this all starts with asking yourself, what do I want for myself? If I kept comparing myself to you-know-who or whatever the heck, then I'd never be happy, because even when I did hit their number, I'm still comparing myself to having the things, which is never inherently mine.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if you're looking at the market going, shit, why am I not seeing the results? Be honest to yourself and ask yourself the question, am I actually putting in the work, or am I fucking around here for quick fixes? So both perspectives are relevant. And then there's a second one, bro. My sister told me this last week, and I straight up went, whoa. It's such a simple statement. The whys are the same through pleasure and pain. Think about it. Right?
Yep.
The whole idea that the whys are the same through pleasure and pain, just kind of like a derivative of the hedonic cycle we talk about. When you're getting good months and you let that go through your ego, you're no longer considered the whys, because in pleasure, you are in a different state. If you're now dropping a month, or maybe you're shifting your leverage and numbers aren't as high, and you let it affect your constant emotional state, then suddenly pain has completely effed you up. And I had to really hear that once or twice, because it's like, that's the answer to everything. If your focus is now, if you're now in a state where the goal is simply to get started and hit your goal, your target goal, maybe 10, 20K, then apply this to yourself. Don't go wondering, fuck, why is it not working? Or just focus on that journey. You'll see the numbers go up, but as the numbers go up, don't forget that the thing that actually contributed to you hitting the goal wasn't the people who pay you or the numbers, it's the fact that you put in the effort from yourself. If now you're shifting your leverage and you're not immediately seeing quick wins, don't let it completely fuck up your confidence and now you're at the bottom of the state, because it's also pointless. It's a constant up and down journey, and when you realize the whys are the same through pleasure and pain, you get to realize, wait, I'm fine. Just keep moving.
Yep. And that is the whole point, right? Being present and just put one foot in front of the other every day. That's the whole fucking point.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, it's a lot of people also ask me, like, going back to like nitty gritty performances and like focusing 80% of your time on fucking bullshit instead of just like locking in on the 20% that moves the needle. It's like a lot of people also look at my digital coffee shop video on YouTube, right? And they'll be like, is it the title? Is it the thumbnail?
Maybe I need this structure.
It's the intro. Like, what is it, right? But and I thought about this too when it went viral, because it was the video that it
popped off. Yeah.
Least expected to go viral, because I was like, I need a method video, and I'm making this video so that I can refer back to it. It will be a boring VSL in a sense, where I mention pricing and method, and like, it's fucking boring. It won't do well, but it's the whole point. It's a video that is there for foundational purposes, right? And then it popped, and then I was like, that video didn't take me 4 hours to make. Right?
It took fucking long.
It took me 3 years of own experiences to learn everything that I said in that video, of like everything that I didn't enjoy about my last coaching business, what I believe to be true in the market, how I wanted to build my business and structure it. And it took me 6 months prior to that, just like thinking these things out, right? How do I structure a business with one core product and 3 deliverables into an agency done for you, a mentorship done with you, and a DIY product? And how do I structure that into an analogy that everyone can understand? Well, it's a coffee shop, right? It took so much time and effort, but then it took me 4 hours to write, lock the fuck in, 2 hours to draw.
Because you spent so much time thinking,
exactly.
You could just come to those words so simply, because it wasn't, what words do I say? It was, I already know what this is.
Exactly.
I can just
because
put
it
it down
came straight
in my
from heart
words.
and experiences, right? So then it's like, that's why the video popped. But like, that right there wouldn't sell any fucking thing. But if I said, hey, I have a secret VSL formula to how you can get your next viral video, I could probably make some bands, you know.
Yeah, man.
But again, wrong expectations.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But just fucking people just need to think a little bit more. I think. I think you should think more, people.
Perhaps you should use your minds, peasants. No, but it's very true. And like, the thing about thinking, and this is kind of something I experienced too, is the moment you actually start thinking, you start also being exposed to the thoughts you don't want to see. Kind of like, Like, for example, when you're constantly on that treadmill going for more and more, more, it's easy to suppress the thoughts of, am I doing the right decisions? Maybe I should slow down. Maybe I need to take a different route. Maybe this doesn't feel correct to me, because you don't care about those feelings at that moment, because all you care about is the next milestone. Not realizing that you're gonna hit the milestone anyways, whether you like it or you absolutely hate it.
Yep.
And oftentimes by not sitting down and thinking, it's kind of like this way of how I always refer to it this way. The body is kind of like a sponge example here too. Like the more you do, the more you sponge up, and you need to release. So your body kind of gets rid of tension. And what happens if you're constantly grinding, you're sponging, your whole body becomes like a solid rock. And then when you sit down, it has to first relax before the actual productive thoughts can come through. That's the thing with thinking, right? It's not fun to do at first because it's fucking, it's uncomfortable. I'm wondering, I'm not sure if am I doing the right things. But you have to sit with the feelings that also come as part of that journey to end up coming to the conclusion, wait, I don't even like this, like you did yourself. I don't like this big volume, complex, fucking shenanigan running, constant stress business. I want to have it in a lot more simpler way. And I know there's not any single person who told you this is the model that works.
No.
You just sat down and you went, hey, this makes sense. I have fundamentally experienced it. I understand it. I have an audience and I know they have the pain because I have it. Serve. And guess what? You didn't have to sell it.
Nope. I lived that shit, and then it become clear. Yeah, it's interesting. But I also think it's like, it's also... Like, I only believed it to be true because I experienced the fact that someone wanted to buy my mentorship and I could do it on my own. And that's when my mentality flipped, right? Because everything up until that point was just listening to mentors. And I really did believe that when I was building Job from Side, I believed that was the only true way to build a coaching business.
Because you only had that perspective.
Yeah, because I only had that, right?
At that time.
Yeah. Because it's like, that was the only right way, I assumed, right? So how do people step back and think when they believe that they're doing the right things?
Like, how do you go to that? I think it's two parts, and it really depends per person. The first off is, like, for example, right now, if I as a person who I know myself to be were to do the approach where it's high volume, I would feel like shit 24/7. I know I would.
So if I tried this way now.
No. It's not about I tried it. No, because I know myself, or I've spent a lot of time with myself. I mean, I'm a bit older here, guys. I'm a little bit uncle already. I'm 26 years old, but
hey,
I've been through. I mean, shit, but I get 27 before you, so technically I'm always higher up on the uncle ladder. Anyways, for the point, there's two parts to it, right? The first is, as we always talk about it, it's knowledge. Knowledge being, what do you consume, where do you learn from? If you're constantly exposing yourself to the information which is one-sided, you're only ever going to have one perspective. And then when Vince and Fred pop up and you're listening to it, you're like, fuck, this shit's uncomfortable. But I think it's important to consume information not as a consumer, but as a creator and as a business owner. Like, hey, what is this perspective and why it's relevant? One of my biggest mistakes, and I think you caught on to this early on as well, especially when I was just earlier on the grind, like 10, 40K per month, it's like, I assumed everyone else's opinion who was doing better was just a fucking jackass. The reason I did that is because I needed to focus on myself being the only truth here, simply because any other truth would deviate me.
Yeah.
But it's important to actually see it for what it is, which is, hey, if someone can do it, what about this is relevant? And the more you listen to their experience and why they choose it, the more you can also think, hey, is this something I want? This is something I know you do. You hear someone else giving you a certain advice or a certain perspective, and you're like, hey, that makes sense, but that doesn't make sense for my life. I don't want it. But that's the thing. How do you know that's not what you want? That's where the second point comes in. If I were to run a high volume business where I'm constantly under stress, I know deep down I would never have fun with it. Because I did it, yes, but also because while I was doing it, bro, you know it, you saw the DMs, I was feeling like shit. I couldn't even spend time with my family. And the point is,
you need a filter.
You need to know yourself. And it's a hard thing because how do you know yourself if you've never experienced life? Now, the older you are, the more you have a relative experience in life. But it also comes down to the fact that how about you just take 1 hour every day to sit the fuck down and just feel whatever the fuck you're feeling and just think. Like, if you make that a part of your routine, I swear, that's how you start doing this. That's what I had to do. When you're constantly grinding and busy, you never have any moments to sit still. Your mind can never think. So here's the example. In the month where I hit 100K, yes, it was a lot of fun, but at the same time, didn't have any time to go to the gym properly, didn't feel great about my body in that moment. Even though I look fine, but I just didn't feel great about it. Didn't even have time to call my partner on some days, which made me pretty sad, but I avoided it because more. If I just sat down 1 hour, maybe I would have slowed down a little that month. But it would be so much worth it because I know I'd hit it anyways. But guess what? My ego couldn't allow that. So I kept going. And then after I had to come to the realization, now the thing is, nothing bad harmed me in that moment, luckily. Because I didn't cross any line that wasn't sensible for myself. But there are people, maybe you're in that position yourself, where you might be crossing a line just for the sake of a number or a goal or your ego, and that's why it's dangerous. So there's no easy answer, and this is what I've also had to learn through working with Nero more on the metaphysics and mindset side of things, but it's sit the fuck down, even if it's hard, stop distracting yourself. Because also when you're in this constant grind, you get this conception that more is better. Sit down, remove yourself from everything, and just feel whatever the fuck you're feeling and let your mind do its thing. Because you're gonna end up realizing, hey, this doesn't feel too right. Or maybe it does, and if it feels right, keep going.
Yeah. But even though that we can sit here and tell people these things, people have to experience it.
Yeah.
So fucking if you're watching this and chasing a milestone, fucking go hit that milestone, whatever it takes, and then just see how you feel.
Yeah.
Don't take the foot off the gas. You need to push. True. You need to learn your own boundaries and fucking chase that goal. Especially if you have less than 100k liquid in bank, that should be the number one goal. So stack that first, because then all good decisions afterwards
come from there.
Yeah, becomes a lot easier. Yeah. And then you can build long term, and then you make all the money that you've ever dreamt of.
It comes down to what we shared at the start. Like at the beginning, it is going to be somewhat of a journey of volume. After that, it's switching your leverage so you can do more volume. I know that at one point, I'm also going to have a more volumetric month, but the volume isn't going to be calls. It's going to be a shit ton of content that I enjoy making. Reps. You're still doing effort. The thing is, your effort is displaced. So, yeah, man, good one. I think that's a good note to also end it off with.
Yeah, we have a group call, huh?
We do. Hell yeah. Hey, serve, don't tell people. Episode 5. Thank you all for another great one. Make sure to leave a sub and like, and check Fred and I out also on Instagram. If you ever have any questions, go ahead and ask us there, and we'll see you next week.
I won't answer, but Vince will.
Yeah, true. Fred's very exclusive these days.
I'm retired in the DMs, people.
No, but awesome, guys. Good to see you. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Vince. Have a good day, bro.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.